Accountability. You and I both know that our results improve when there's accountability in place. Yet none of us like that term accountability. Why not? It's because we have the wrong definition. Today, I'm going to give you a new definition of accountability, something that you're going to want and something that you're going to want for everybody with whom you work. And here's the key. By them understanding this definition, they are also going to want it. This is going to change the trajectory of your business and all of those with whom you work. Stay tuned, guys. It's going to be an amazing episode. Welcome back to Think Bigger Real Estate. I am your host, Justin Stoddart. So excited to be with you. Before we get too far into the episode, let me remind you to connect with me. You can do it by subscribing and hitting the bell notification to this channel. Get on my calendar. Let's spend a few minutes together. Guys, my life's work is helping real estate agents get unstuck. So many of them are one breakthrough away from having the income and the lifestyle that they want. All right, guys, today's episode, accountability. Let me begin by sharing the reality of what accountability can do for us. I'm going to share it with a personal story. You see, I'm a very ambitious person. That's the good side, that I cover a lot of ground. The downside is I try and start a lot of things. I get distracted easily. I created a tool called the Think Bigger operating system, which allows me to get absolute clarity on the things that I need to do to produce the results that I absolutely want. Not only that, but I have accountability. Each time I complete one of those activities, I check off the box and it gives me an immediate gratification. Instead of having to wait for months to see the result of that activity, I get it right away. An immediate dopamine rush, which gives me the confidence to keep going. All too often, we don't have that in place and we tend to flounder because we're looking for those immediate feedback loops. And in our industry, it just doesn't always happen right away. I started by implementing this system in early December of 2022. I started to see my execution levels of the activities that I knew I needed to be doing go through the roof. It was simply because I was checking a little box at the end of the activity that calculated a percentage of my execution score. And I could see it in real time. It's like if you walked into like a YMCA or somewhere where people are playing basketball, there's no scoreboard. People would kind of be squirreling around. Nobody be taking it seriously. But all of a sudden you put a scoreboard up there and anybody who's serious all of a sudden becomes a real player and everybody starts playing defense. They start making crisper passes. You see, the same is true in your business, is that once you can actually see a scoreboard, everybody starts treating it seriously. At least everybody that wants to treat it like a real business will start, because now they can see the immediate results of their activities. So this has worked tremendously for me. Another thing where I've seen accountability absolutely transform my life is when I have a coach. When I'm involved in a coaching program where there's some sort of follow-up, where there's somebody who's checking in to see how I'm doing. You see, all too often we start on a project and we get to a little bit of a sticking point and it gets hard and we don't know how to get unstuck. And so then we jump to the next thing. What I've found is by having a coach, having an organization around me to where I can go and get immediate feedback and results and help, it changes the way that I work. So instead of being stuck, I get unstuck. And that's exactly why I invite you to reach out to me to help you get unstuck in a matter of just a few minutes. Let me take the next step and share with you why many people don't like accountability. I think I've laid out a pretty clear picture as to what it's done for me and so many others. I'm sure you're included in that as well. One of the big reasons why people don't like accountability is because they have the wrong definition of accountability. You see, accountability is not consequences. It is not discipline. It is not punishment. That is a false premise. And when we put accountability in those terms, people don't want it. And why would they not want something that's so good for them? It's because it's framed wrong. Let me share with you a quote that will help us to understand what accountability really is. It's by a mentor of mine who's since passed. His name is Thomas S. Monson. And he said, "When we deal in generalities, we shall never succeed. When we deal in specifics, we shall rarely have a failure. When performance is measured, performance improves. When performance is measured and reported, the rate of performance accelerates." Think about that. Each and every one of us, we want our performance to improve. And we want that improvement to accelerate. There's absolutely no doubt about that. Well, the key behind that is accountability. So what is accountability? Accountability can be summed up and defined in one simple word: ownership. You own it. When you own something, all of a sudden it's yours. Now, I want to use the metaphor of a house. You see, as a real estate agent, you recognize the power of ownership. You're constantly letting people know that if they rent for long periods of time, they don't gain equity, and ultimately they miss out on hundreds of thousands of dollars. Whereas people who buy and then buy again and buy again and buy again, they end up very, very wealthy because that real estate appreciates over time. They gain equity. The same is true with the way that we embrace accountability. When we take ownership over something, that thing begins to grow and become more and more valuable to us because we own it, we improve it, we live in it, we make it better. The same is true, guys, whether it be a piece of residential real estate, commercial real estate, or whether it be an activity, whether it be a thing that you are owning when it comes to your business. So what are the things then that you should have accountability over? What are the things with which you should seek accountability? In other words, what are the things with which you should take ownership? I'm going to list out 3 of them. The first one is your thinking. See, all too often, because we're in a very dynamic industry where things are always changing and impacting our bottom line, we tend to think of those other things as the enemy. For example, interest rates go up. Oh no, that's bad. Inventory goes down or stays down. Oh, that's bad. So they are the enemy and we are the victim. And when we do that, we actually take all the power that we have and possess to create the business and life that we want, and we give it to those enemies. We give it to victimhood. We say, interest rates, I'm giving you my dreams for this year. You can have them. Or we say, inventory, you can have it. Now, let's not be mistaken. Do those things have an impact upon your business? Absolutely. But those who are accountable recognize that first and foremost, if they can take ownership over their thinking and not give it away, but say, my results are because of my decisions, and right now, I have a decision to say what opportunities are coming about because of an interest rate change. What opportunities are coming about because of an inventory change? Where are the opportunities in this market? You see, opportunity simply looks like somebody having a problem and you stepping in to solve that problem. That's what opportunity looks like. And if every time there's a change in all of these different factors, certain people are impacted by that, which means there's a problem, which means that you can bring a solution. So there's always opportunity. Oftentimes when there's the most disruption, there's the most opportunity. So the first thing that we need to recognize is that accountability over our own thinking is the first and foremost thing that we need to absolutely own, embrace, and take on. The second thing with which we need to take accountability is our actions. You see, all too often I hear people say oh, I can't do that because I have to do this. I can't do that because I have to be over here. I can't show up and fulfill my commitment because I have to do this. No, last I checked, we do not live in a communist country. Nobody's saying what we have to do and what we don't have to do. The reality is we are making choices, and we need to take ownership over our choices. That I choose to be here, and then I'm going to choose to be over there, and later I'm going to choose to do that. When we do that, all of a sudden, again, we take the power back. We take ownership over our actions. Other people don't control us. And when we make those decisions that are in alignment with serving our clients at the highest level and finding more clients to serve at the highest level, our opportunities expand. So accountability over your actions is critical. The third one is this: accountability over your results. I hear all too often people saying, well, I don't have the right circumstance. I didn't have the right family. I didn't have the right school. I didn't have the right whatever. When we take accountability over our results, we consciously decide that the circumstances that I'm in right now are a product of my decisions, that it's 100% my responsibility to get the results that I want, nobody else's. Because remember, as soon as we give that to somebody else, we gave our power away. Pointing blame at other people doesn't make us look better. It disempowers us. So when we take accountability over those things, all of a sudden we gain the power back to say, okay, what moves can I make to still reach my biggest goals in these circumstances? Now, when it comes to accountability with teammates, the first and foremost thing that we need to recognize is that we can't impose accountability on other people. We can't impose ownership on other people. If the true definition of accountability is ownership, then we cannot impose that upon somebody else. We have to, and we get to empower them to take ownership over something. When you start to recognize that and start to speak that into people's lives, to say, I want you to have ownership over this. This is yours. And you teach them the principles that I just taught you today. All of a sudden, things change. Why do they change? Because the people around you all of a sudden feel empowered. Instead of feeling like you're looking over their shoulder, instead of feeling like you're going to be imposing consequences or punishment upon them, you're simply saying, no, how can I lift you up? How can I give you a hand up? How can I help you? And your leadership goes away from looking to find out what people are doing wrong and looking to find out what they're doing right and what they need help with to do more right, to do more good. And all of a sudden, it becomes more of a partnership as opposed to a big brother looking over your shoulder. You guys, I hope you found value in this concept around accountability. I want to give credit to a book that I love called The 12-Week Year. Our operating system that I spoke about earlier was built around the principles taught in that book. It's an amazing book. If you haven't got it, please read it. If you're interested in finding a way that you can implement these principles into your business, having the accountability that I described that actually has changed my execution levels, reach out to me. I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you about that. I think my email address is in the show notes. We'll be more than happy to have a conversation with you about that. And again, guys, if this has been valuable, please share it and connect with me. And my final request is this: go think bigger. Let's go.